What is up, everybody? Brent Abel here, goldballhunting.com. That dude over there, the great Jeff Jacklich, right there, yes. And another episode of the Gold Ball Hunting Podcast. Guys, hang in there with us today because we have, as we've been doing the last few episodes, some reality checks for you. So stay with us to the end because I think you'll really enjoy this episode.
So the big question is this. How are tennis players like us who never played on the tour, weren't incredible juniors, or maybe got a late start to the game, how do we consistently compete at our highest skill level without having to grind through endless hours of on-court practice time and still be in the hunt for the victory match after match? That is the question, and Gold Ball Hunting gives you the answers by helping you eliminate your skill level range so that you build a strong foundation of confidence. My name is Jeff Jacklich, and along with Brent Abel, my partner, welcome to Gold Ball Hunting.
Jeffrey, my man, what is going on today there, dude?
It's a beautiful day here in Moraga.
Is that right?
Yeah. It's crystal clear.
Would you look at that? It is a beautiful day here in Moraga. You're right.
It is a beautiful day.
Huh.
Crystal clear outside. Of course, I haven't been out yet, so I don't know if you can still smell smoke in the air or not, but I feel like we're coming out of what we've been in, so this is good.
Yeah. No, I was out this morning running a few errands, and crispy, about 33, 34 degrees this morning when I left the house around 7:15.
Wow.
And, so anyway, but not quite as bad as Steamboat was a couple mornings ago, minus 8, a little bit different. Anyway, Jeff, what I want to talk about today is you and I chatted about this. What am I looking at here? Some message coming in I don't want to take a look at. Anyway, get out of here. But we talked about this a few days ago, and it's kind of that. It was off one of our sort of business guru guys, mentors, Russell Brunson, had just a beautiful rant about one of his students in how she was just continuing to go, well, you know what, it's your fault. I'm not successful because of you, Russell. I can't do this because of, external things. Well, yeah, but I try to do that and I can't do that because of blah, blah, blah. And I've always contended that, if you are a tournament player, if you're a league player who's looking to get better, who really wants to move up to a new rating label, and like the tournament guys, right? If you're trying to go through to the next few rounds, any good teaching pro or any good coach is only maybe, depending on where you are on kind of I'm hoping a little more than that, but depending on where you are along the path of becoming a better tennis player, whether it's singles or doubles, the guy that you're working with, and even though we say that, you got to stop being a DIYer, you got to stop being a do-it-yourselfer, you've got to get some professional coaching to help you stay focused, to help you stay engaged, to help you clear out all the chatter that's out there. But the reality is that a great coach is maybe 25% of getting you from here to there. If you're not willing to do the rest of the work, 70, 75%, whatever it is, 80%, it's not going to happen. Not going to happen. And I see it too often. Well, the reason I'm not being successul is because of something outside of me, right? It's out of my control. Right? It's a little bit like playing the victim role. Well, I can't do that because my coach is either not available or he's sick or something, and you got to stop. I don't know. What am I looking at? Stop pointing the finger at something outside of yourself if you're not getting the results you want, and maybe stop looking for, well, what's the next shiny object, which would be some new course or something. Anyway, I guess the bottom line for me, Jeff, is that players need to take a lot more responsibility, again, without being a do-it-yourselfer, but they've got to take a lot more responsibility for whatever a good coach tells you to do. Look, I mean, when I got together with Mr. Stowe, it was like the biggest weight off my back, even though I struggled at times with him because, he was not the most articulate guy at the end of his life.
Right.
And maybe it was just me, but I could kind of frustrate him a little bit. But for me, it was like, God, I no longer have to try to figure this thing out on my own.
Right.
And yet, once he sort of gave me the keys to the kingdom, it was one thing. Here's the key, Brent. Open the door yourself. I'm not going to open the door for you. You got to open the door yourself. And then once you go inside, man, you kind of stay focused on whatever the guy's telling you. So what are your thoughts on that?
Well,
So anyway, guys, with that.
Thanks for stopping by. Well, it's such a, it seems intangible, but, like you said, I can guide and set the path and help educate the player in the thought process and how we're going to move, how we're going to make the boat go faster, how we're going to actually create more wins without getting in there and rebuilding your forehand or rebuilding a backhand or completely rebuilding a serve. And it's not occasionally that those things don't have to be done. Sometimes they do. Sometimes they do have to be done. But by and large, that's not the problem. I mean, most of the time, that is not the problem. Most of the time, there's a workable forehand, a workable backhand, a workable volley, a workable this, a workable that. And so the DIYer is going off of using information that is either pro-based, because this is what Rafa does, this is what Fed does, this is what Djokovic does, this is what Serena does, this is what Halep does, whatever. And the struggle with that is, I'm struggling for words, is that information is filtered through a pro lens. It's not filtered through a 3.5 lens or a 4.0 lens. What's actually applicable with that information for me at the 3.5 level? And if you're the 3.5 trying to glean the correct little nugget that's in there, I think that is just a world of hurt. I think it's just a very difficult thing. It's like me trying to listen to Russian for a day and trying to pick out a word that makes sense to me. Like, I think maybe that means donut. I don't know. Right? I mean, but turned out it was anchovies. Oops. Whatever.
I'd like extra donuts. All right, here you go.
Right. I know it's like silly. I'm kind of struggling here with an explanation, but I think the biggest thing is that finding the right coach to help guide you, somebody that you trust, and then are you going to actually do what they recommend? Are you going to let them be the guiding light? Are you going to let them first assess who you are as a player, help you discover your brand? Who are you as a player with your current skill set? Let's start moving the meter now with your current skill set. I'm going to we're going to show you how to use the skill set you currently have to produce more wins. And then we're going to say, okay, you know what? You're really close on this particular shot. So we're going to have to put some work in on that particular shot. And that's going to expand your ability to do some new patterns. It's going to expand your ability to make your forehand more effective, because now we have this new tool that's consistent and it's reliable. So all the things we add, if we're going to add something, should be in support of making everything else that much better. And look, that's all fine and dandy, right? So we can assess and we can say, look, here are your strengths, and let's kind of create a player brand for you, something that's unique only to you, based on your strengths and areas that maybe we need to kind of stay away from. Try to see if we can't strategize away tactically to sort of get you to always be close to your strengths at all times. But the reality is that it's still, guys, you got to get out there and you have
to do the work and discover on your own.
Yes.
All right, well, Jeff told me that this is really what I should be pointing towards, but that's sort of more intellectually. You got to go out there and experience it to see what it actually feels like yourself, because there's no one that can say, well, do this, and now all of a sudden you've gone from 3-5 to 4-0, right? They can say do this, and this, but until you actually go out there and put in the time and get the experience for what this, and this feels like, and there's going to be days where those three things feel like crap.
Right.
And in this day and age, it's so easy to go, hey, man, today that thing felt like crap. It don't work, right? Well, if that's the case, if that's your response, then you're not putting in the work, because I'm sorry, but it is not. Here's the key. You open the door, and now it's this gradual straight line up in the graph of improvement. It's a mess going up there.
Yeah.
But you gotta embrace it. That's the learning curve, and you can't really. And look, you and I sit around, and we know guys who just love to kind of architect and mathematically figure out a way of winning. And it's kind of like the teaching pro who's out there trying to teach you how to hit a semi-Western lag and snap with a wipe at the end forehand, as if every frickin' ball that comes over to your forehand you could do that on. I'm sorry, but you're not a golfer. The ball's not sitting there, and you're not standing there. You're not a baseball hitter. Yeah, the ball's moving, but you're just standing there, right? This is a different deal where there's way, way too many variables to be able to say, if I do this and this and this, boomski, I've got the game figured out.
Yeah, it's not a one and done. It's not every tennis ball coming at you from your opponent is like a snowflake. There's no two that are alike.
That's right. So look, and so the only way that you can figure out these strategies, the only way that you can figure out these tactics, the only way you can figure out these two-shot patterns, call it whatever we want, but the only way to figure them out, I don't mean figure them out because we don't want you doing that on your own. We want you to get the right coaching. Yeah. But the way to start feeling what the coaching is all about is, I think, 80% up to the player getting out there. And I mean, Jeff, how many times have you had a lesson and you're there for 60 or 90 minutes and the student walks out the gate and you're just going, whoa, about 92% of what we just worked on just poof, went away. Because you know that they, for the next week until they see you the next time, that the priority for them in tennis is going to be nothing to do with what you guys. I mean, no. Well, I'm going to go out there and kind of experience what we just did on my own, as opposed to this beautifully controlled situation. Hey, we're working on the semi forehand. We're going to lag and snap and wipe under these 60 minutes of just beautifully controlled feeds. Right. I'm sorry, but that's not what your opponent's going to do for you.
Right. So I mean, it's so difficult. The ego and pride factor is so difficult that we're very quick to discard the effort that didn't show results in the first time I tried it. Which is why when we set up a plan for somebody, there's practice constraints to force them to have to do the pattern or whatever it is we're working on. I was working with Julie last week, and we had to, and she's I don't think Julie has a gold yet, but she has some bronze and a few silvers, I think. And we got hooked in. We were talking about her drop shot. And I'd switch rackets, blah blah blah, and this whole thing, and I just kind of went, really, okay, well let's take a look and blah blah blah. So we set up this pattern, did it. I made a few suggestions, and then she just came in. First ball off the racket was just perfect execution. it wasn't the ultimate drop shot. It wasn't like, you can't duplicate it. It was like exactly where we want it to be based on the setup. Do this, put the ball here, and like that. So perfect. And then she immediately just hooked into it and said, "Oh my God, that's the feel. Okay, okay. It's not gone. It's right here." And then so when we finished the session, I said, "Okay, so I know you're playing this junior later on today." She was going to play some singles against a high-ranking NorCal junior. And I said, "Okay, here's your constraints." I go, we don't care if you win the sets or not. That's irrelevant. I go, "But what I need you to do is I need you to do this pattern and execute this play and drop shot once a game, every game for every set that you play this girl. Okay? Every game, whether she's serving or you're serving, blah, blah, blah." And, the next day I get a great text saying, "Oh my gosh, it was so great. It felt so good to execute the pattern and to feel this, and it didn't work every time, but it really set up other things that allowed, that allowed it to happen." So there's such a much bigger picture when you start actually executing, because the patterns, even if that pattern in particular, it ends up being a 50-50 proposition in winning points, unless you experience it, you can't see that it's actually affecting how the other patterns then get to work for you. There's the ripples in the water of doing certain things. And so that's where I think just a big blind spot for everybody is. They want this rigid, if this isn't working, then I'm going to go do this. And then it's this rigid, execution of plan B. And unfortunately, every ball has X amount of variables to it. And unless you see the adaptability factor in it, it could be a very quick day. Yeah. And mentally really exhausting, because you don't see a way out. You don't see a what's the word I'm looking for? You don't see a pathway that can actually turn the tide for you, because you're just fixed on, okay, it's got to be this. If it's not this, it must be this. If it's not this, it must be this. And unfortunately, tennis match just doesn't work that way.
Yeah. There's no workaround. With computers and tech and all this stuff, sometimes you run into a little roadblock. Okay, well maybe there's a workaround, and you could. But with this thing, it's kind of like well you learn, right? So you're on the court with your pro or your coach. Let's call it the coach, and they give you the keys to the kingdom, right? And you got to realize that just because you've got the thing, whether it's like what you and I do with business a lot. We buy books, we buy courses, and we have the information. But if you don't go out there and start taking action on what you're learning, and the reality is in the beginning, you're going to suck like a monster.
Right.
And if you stick with it, another time you're going to suck a little bit less.
Right.
And then you keep going and you keep going, and finally you cross that threshold of, God dang it, I don't suck anymore at this. I've actually got a new skill. But until you go through that muck and just trust that whatever my good coach, and I'm conditioning upon good, is giving you the right information, then look, I don't care how good the guy is or the gal is, you're still going to suck in the beginning. And if you don't have the guts to suck for a while, then you're going to stay stuck. You're just going to stay at that level and never, ever get to the next couple of rounds in the tournaments, or actually go up to the next league rating label. Yeah. So I guess the theme of this one is, it's okay to suck for a while. And if it's just normal, it's normal. And if you're too concerned about winning practice sets, then you're not getting yourself into the suck mode where
there's no way to advance the cause until you're willing to execute a plan, a strategy, a pattern, and then do that pattern, go stand in the place you're supposed to go stand in, and then see what happens from that perspective, because you will assess, you automatically assess the situation based on where you're standing at the moment. So there's no way to assess that I just hit a great forehand into the guy's backhand and he just dished up a duck for me. I don't see it as a duck if I'm still standing 3 feet behind the baseline. I see that as a short ball that I'm struggling to get. Now, if I hit that ball deep into the corner and I'm tuned into what I just delivered, and based on that, I should go stand here. Now he dishes up the duck, and then from that perspective, though, a 6 foot different perspective, being 2 feet inside the baseline, because I think I should cheat the court here a little bit, because I delivered such a good message. Now that ball looks like opportunity. So there's a 6 foot difference between opportunity vision and, oh crap, I'm in trouble vision. And you cannot make those assessments clearly and actually, and it's not DIY, but you do have to experience yourself and start to see the reality of how this stuff goes. So that moment is a little bit of a DIY moment, but not really. It's based on a framework that you're trying to execute something, and now you can see the reality of, oh, when I do this pattern and I hit this quality ball, I should stand here because this seems to be what happens most of the time. It's not going to happen every time, but most of the time it seems to create opportunity for me.
So you're talking about shot choice plus the next best court position equals
clarity.
Yeah, well, and clarity and probably winning more points, winning more games, sets, and matches. So, all right, well, guys, get out there and suck for a while. It's all right. Just
exactly.
Assuming you got the right information.
Okay. You were back on the court for the first time, yesterday or the day before?
A couple days ago, yeah.
And you sucked.
Completely.
Right?
But it's not like, that's different because I really had taken almost 5 weeks off. I mean, I'd hit a few balls in Steamboat when I was there, but nothing. And I didn't do a thing for the last two and a half weeks. And for me, I'm not the kind of guy where tennis is just like riding a bike. There's so much timing involved. And plus, 5 weeks of hiking is not building up the kind of quick fiber, whatever, quick twitch muscles for tennis. Right. So, and then we played some doubles yesterday. It felt a little better, but still sucked. So, and it's okay. It's all right. I kind of like the feeling of knowing that, all right, now it's only going to get better because, so anyway, well, listen, guys, hope you enjoyed today's episode. A couple things before we let you go. Number one, Jeff and I are offering a free private coaching call, 10, 12, 15 minutes, whatever it takes to kind of flesh out the one area in your game right now that really needs maybe some attention, that if you were to really sort of focus on it for the next 30 days, who knows, all the other little things in there that could use attention just might go away. The way to get on that call, go over to goldballhunting.com, put in a first name and email address, click the button, you get access to our online calendar scheduler. The other thing you're to get from us too is a video that Jeff and I did months ago on how to reduce your skill level range. If this is the first time you've been with us, you don't know what skill level range is, I'm not surprised because we're the only guys who actually talk about skill level range and why you don't want a big range, you want a little tiny range. So you will also get the video on that. And that's really where confidence in the game, whether it's singles or doubles, gets built, is any tiny, minimal skill level range. Guys, if you're on our email list, you know what to do. Any email you get from us has got a link that will take you over to the calendar scheduler. Just go over there and let's jump on a free private coaching call, just the three of us. What else? I guess that's it for today, Jeffrey. What do we want to find folks to do right now?
Like us, share us, please subscribe. Let us know what you think down below. iTunes and Stitcher, rate and review. Goldballhunting.com. Don't keep it a secret. It's okay to share.
Well, in fact, why don't we do this? Why don't we just, everyone look. Look, this is episode 292.
Wow.
292 days in a row, guys and gals, that we're putting out the free content, and we're asking you to do one little tiny skill level range thing, which would be could you tell one person today just to go over to goldballhunting.com and let them share in the love as well?
Yeah.
So, all right, guys, thanks for hanging out with us today. Get out there wherever you are. Help someone else have a great day. Jeff, we'll do this again tomorrow.
I can't wait.